Alright, let's do this crap again. So I knew Death Guard would be a pretty bad matchup for me. Against the Terminator Death Guard list, I don't really have an issue because they have to come to me, and if they have to come to me, they can get shot by me. So I win that matchup really well. And I've proven that with the Eradicators. Even though they take -1 damage, everything that goes through does at least 2, because they're d6 plus 2 damage. And that's if I roll a 1. Otherwise, it does 3 damage and they die. So the Eradicator list was super great against those Death Guard Terminators. What they were not great against was Mortarion. They did damage to him, but I played a list with Mortarion, a super hot competitive list, last night, and he beat me so badly that I stayed up all night thinking about this list. Here's the thing, that Mortarion soaked up 14 heavy melta shots, 4 multi-melta shots, and 32 Volkite Contemptor shots, and lived with 3 wounds. I didn't roll excellent, but that was with Seal of Oath rerolls on all of them. Where I didn't roll excellent was on the damage for the Eradicators. Had that changed, I think the game would have gone completely differently, considering that I would have shot 500 points off his list in the first turn. Yeah, the game would have been substantially different had I actually rolled a little better and gotten killed there, but it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, I rolled what I rolled, and the weaknesses in my list are apparent. That outside of that main firing, I don't really have a lot. And to that end, I've kind of made some changes. I've dropped 2 of the suppressors that I was making such a big deal about. They're super great, but they do die to a stiff breeze. I'm literally only running 1 now. If I'm facing Drukhari, they'll start on the table. They're going to get their reroll dictation from the lieutenant and his warlord trait, and they're going to rush out the side like a lateral 12-inch move on top of the 6 inches from the lieutenant. So they'll basically hit the side of the board either side in a Dawn of War, and especially in one of the narrower ones, and they'll go and shoot up a raider. That shouldn't be an issue. They probably won't kill it, probably leave it on like 2 wounds or 3 wounds or something like that, but it'll be soft. I won't be as afraid of it rushing me down at the speed of light anymore. If I'm facing literally anyone else, they're going to start off the board, and they'll deep strike in turn 3 and get me a rod. So I'd take rod against literally any other enemy. Otherwise, Raise the Banners is starting to look like it for this army, especially if it's a 3 objective map. But even a 2 objective Dawn of War, Raise the Banners might be good. I do have a tendency to deploy on the line and then retreat as they get closer, so I can continue shooting with it while minimizing the threat of their advance. But this list is definitely going to be a retrieve or a raise banner and a take no to the last list. To the last, I'll show you where those points will go momentarily. Obviously, one of them is going to be here. But the Contemptors are staying the same. They perform well. I mean, they're dumb. The mortal wounds are kind of dumb. They shoot a lot of shots, especially re-rolling stuff. It's strong. I like it a lot. I think that it lacks consistency, obviously, because we're only mortal wounding on 6s, and it has 0 AP on saves, except for on the first turn, or if I pay a CP to put it into all doctrines at the same time. Yeah, so it's lacking consistency, but the Redemptor Dreadnoughts lacked a lot of consistency, and I need something with firepower. So it's either going to be this. I am considering a switch for one of these to a heavy Intercessor squad. Basically, that would save me a CP. Also, the heavy intercessors have a 1 CP strat for the heavy weapon that you pay 10 points for, which puts them up to 150 points. If it hits, you do D3 mortal wounds per hit. So on the heavy E rifle, whichever one that is, the exterminator rifle or something like that, it's got 2 shots. If I hit both, which I will likely do because I might pay CP for Scions of Gilliman, or they'll more than likely be within 1 inch of one of the 2 dreadnoughts in this list for rerolling 1s. Lead on 3s, yeah, more than likely, more often than not, I will get 2 hits. So, could be 2 mortal wounds, or it could be 6. More than likely, it's going to be 3 or 4. That's still pretty good considering it's a 2 damage weapon. 3 or 4 means they basically didn't save either, which is less likely than them saving at least 1. So that's actually a good strat. I'll keep it in my back pocket. And if these guys don't continue to perform on Saturday or my practice game on Tuesday or Thursday this coming week, I'm going to try and chuck them for the heavy intercessors, which means I'm not going to be building the rest of the suppressors, by the way. Sorry, guys. That's fine. I have plenty of buddies around here with Ultramarines who are going to want those. I'll probably keep 3 more just in case something changes radically. I'll probably keep 3, paint those 3, and then sell 3 more. Infiltrators, they're good. They have OBSEC, but I don't really care. They're going to hold an objective, or maybe if my opposing army's tendency is to camp me out, maybe I'll forward deploy them into another quarter, rod them first turn, and then they'll die. But I got my rod points, and then I only have to focus on my 2 back corners. That'll be good enough. They'll be very flexible. I do have my army split, so this will be 1 flank in a Dawn of War, or even in the narrow deployment style. This will be all on 1 flank. Lieutenant, 5 eradicators, exactly the same as before. I am adding a multi-melta here, so when I have a guy who's giving me some bits. When I get those this week, they'll be getting a multi-melta finally. But this is 1 flank, right? The other flank is where the real changes have occurred. I made a joke about the repulsor executioner not being competitively priced, and it's not. But its reason for being here is important, and it's not a list tailoring reason. It's a legitimate reason for my area. That Death Guard guy who kicked my butt yesterday, he's in a team of Death Guard players. He's in a team of players. I think there are 3 Death Guards, 1 Black Templar, and 1 something else. Regardless, that gentleman is 1 out of 5 Death Guard players in my area, all of whom I think are showing up on Saturday, not tomorrow, but next week. And I think 3 of them run Terminators, like a lot of Terminators in their army, and 2 of them run Mortarian. So this will be very helpful against Mortarian. It'll also be very helpful against the Custodes and Knight players. There's 1 Custodes and 1 Knight player, or 2 Knight players, in my area. So he'll be very helpful against that. So I've cut this Eradicator squad down to 3. Heresy for me, I know, but that way they fit in this Executioner, which is a weird thing, but really it's there to keep them safe, which is also a weird thing to say, considering how few wounds this thing has. But, kind of is what it is. I'll explain more in depth what exactly I plan to do with them. Apothecary, same thing. Techmarine, same thing. I actually paid for him to be the upgraded Techmarine, so he always heals 3 wounds. Basically, I'm going to deploy him on the side next to this tank, and this will be a Wisdom of the Ancients, probably. And this will be the target for Blessing of the Awaken the Machine Spirits. Literally hitting on 2s with all of his crap. I will show you how effective I think that will be against all sorts of stuff. But other than that, 3 Eradicators, squad of 5 Eradicators. They've got a multi-melta. These guys will also get a multi-melta when I get the bits later this week. Second Contemptor Dreadnought, nothing special here. The Repulsor Executioner, I am paying for everything on it. I am paying 345 points for it. This is 1, 2, 3 to the last targets for 15 points. I figure if I lose all these guys, because I will be camping the crap out of my opponent on the back of the objectives, I'm losing the game anyway. Plus, if he focuses a lot of firepower to kill this thing, I'm healing it 3 wounds a turn. I believe it has smoke screen too. But if that's what they're focusing on, they're not focusing on Eradicators. And they're using all of their long-range firepower to hit it. Otherwise, they'll have to get closer, which I call Melta range. So, if they come close enough to shoot it with close-range stuff like multi-Meltas, they're in my multi-Melta range, and they didn't shoot at my Eradicators because they know this thing is worth 5 points. So hopefully that will overvalue this thing more to them, and then they'll chase after it more than they should. Or it'll tear them apart at long range, because everything it has fires like 30 inches, which is awesome when I'm talking about staying in 30 inches or 36 inches for some of these guns. away from the Drukhari, because those guys are scary, and 24 inches of movement is nothing to them. I'll show you the repulsor executioner data sheet here, and why I think it's kind of stupid. Okay, so I'm not going to be making use of Aquilin Tactics, which is 1 to the hit roll on the big gun, whatever it happens to be. I'm going to run the macro plasma because it's 10 points cheaper, and it's more shots in general than the laser destroyer. Hover tank, blah blah blah. So I'm basically not going to make use of that because I'm always going to have him awakened by machine spirits. Going down to this thing, he does bracket, and it's not great. Right, 3s, 4s, and 5s. So basically, for me to be 2s, 3s, and 4s, which is not great, but you know, it's not terrible. He won't be getting any rerolls, but look at the range in these weapons: 30, 36 on the stubber, which I'm paying for, 36 on the macro plasma, 36 on the twin heavy bolter, and 36 on the iron hail heavy stubber. All right. Add 1 to hit rolls made for this weapon against targets that have fly. I can't add any more, right? You can't go more than +1. But if I'm bracketed, I'm hitting on 2s again against Drukhari Raiders. So that it, or any flying sisters or anything else. So kind of great, totally worth the points. Actually, I don't pay any extra points for that. But if we're just counting down here, right? How many shots do I have in Overwatch? Let's call it a defensive focus. How many shots do I have that would wound on 2s, or just wounding on 2s if I'm just shooting at different squads of Drukhari, right? Because I can split fire with this thing all over the place. Let's just count it up. That's 8 shots that wound on 2s. That's 6, so 14. These AP -1 shots that wound on 3s. So 14, 4 more, that's 18. Those are probably not going to those guys, plus they wound on 2s. And then D6, which I won't count because there's no AP except in the second and third turn. So like 18. And then in the second and third turn, when these things have AP, then it'll be, vehicles always rapid fire. So it would be 4 more, which puts us at 22. And then 4 more because it's actually got 2 storm bolters, so 26 shots, AP -1, wounding on 3s, hitting on 2s. There's 1 more weapon on here. Well, yeah, these things will go up to AP1, and there are 2 of them as well, so it could be 12 more shots. Highly doubtful though. So that is a lot of shots, all of which hit on 2s or 3s, depending on if I'm bracketed. If I'm on the 3rd bracket, I'm gonna run away and heal up as much as I can and come back on the 2nd bracket at least. All of which hit on 2s or 3s and wound on 3s against Drukhari infantry. I don't think that will go well for them. And then if we're talking about blowing up the Raiders and then getting those guys to show up out of them, Icarus rocket pods, right? Strength 7, so it's on 4s, but hitting on 2s, right? Macro plasma incinerator, wounding on 3s, hitting on 2s. Man, my apartment is loud. And then the heavy onslaught, it's not going to be wounding. Raiders are toughness 7, it's not going to be wounding. So they'll probably be hitting incubi or whatever else is strength 3 on 2s with the wounds. Yeah, I think this thing will be an absolute Drukhari slaughterer. But I also think it'll help me against Mortarion. Just the plasma shots and the volume of shots. Like, I don't particularly care that I'm wounding on 6s for some of this stuff, all the strength 4 stuff. What was really crucial is the supercharged wounding on 3s. I need volume. Volume is what kills Mortarion because he's got a 4-up invul or something like that. I think it's 4-up. He's got a 3-up regular save, like a 4-up invul, and then like a 5-up feel no pain. The guy is crazy. He ignores almost everything he wants. You have to shoot him with a lot of stuff. He soaked up my entire army's first turn of shooting, which has literally never happened before. I didn't roll great, but I didn't roll terrible. So this will hopefully cover those bases. This is going to be a patrol and a vanguard, so I only start with 5 CP, which is not a lot. But I'm thinking about it, like, what do I spend CP for in this army? I do not spend CP to reroll because I have so many rerolls already. And if I'm rerolling 1 die with a CP, something's already wrong. Something else has gone wrong already. Probably be spending 1 a turn for Wisdom of the Ancients. Not sure which side, but which we'll be spending that 1 CP, right? A couple 1 CPs for Transhuman, 1 in the shooting phase, most likely. Hopefully I'm not using Transhuman in the charging phase, because then they're too close and I've already screwed up, right? If I can delay them being able to charge me until turn 3, I've won the game. And by that time, they should be at a CP for most armies, and I will definitely be at a CP. But that is the new list. I've clearly got some work to do here on suppressors and here with the repulsor executioner. But this list is going to be extremely shooty. And I think the repulsor executioner is worth the 2 CP, maybe to redeploy, along with, like, I don't know, the techmarine and the Contemptor, or the techmarine and the eradicators, right? If I go first, I should deploy super campy, and I will, behind as much obscuring terrain as I can. And if I go first, I blow the 2 CP to rapidly redeploy, and I put that repulsor executioner as far up as far to the flank and back as I can, because he only moves 10 inches. It is pretty far, but it's not super far, right? So I'd redeploy him so he gets as many shots as possible and as much stuff as possible, and we'll just see what happens. I really think it'll work well. I have a game scheduled against someone on Tuesday, and hopefully I'll be playing the Death Guard guy again on Thursday, and we'll see how it goes for eradication round 3. I guess we're on to like Plasma Boogaloo, 1 step beyond Electric. But yeah, this is the list. It's exactly 2,000 points. It's gonna be pretty dumb. Either they'll be tabled by turn 3, or I will lose. By the way, my third secondary I'm always gonna keep flexible. If they have a lot of chaff units, we'll grind them down, or we'll grind them down, or we'll take no prisoners. They have a lot of vehicles, or if I'm facing some kind of guard army, I don't know, I'll think about something else. Or mission secondaries, right? Like on mission 33, I almost always want to take the mission secondary, things like that. But as it stands now, to the last, and banners or Octarius data. And that will do it for me. Thanks.